So day 7 of the Falcon project, we are getting ready to work on the brake lines and the brakes and anything associated with the brakes. So that's the goal for today. See if we can get the brakes done and working. If so, then we are getting really, really close. Fuel tank sitting behind me on the floor down here is ready to go back in. Luckily had an extra sending unit gasket and ring sitting at the shop, so got that to put on for the old sending unit so it seals it up. Started working on a little bit of patchwork underneath the car too, so I'll show that later to show what I was doing. A little bit was welded in, a little bit I used Siloprene. If you're not familiar with Siloprene, I'll talk about that later. It's a one-part adhesive. It comes in like a caulking tube. You just have to let it sit for about 24 hours, but the stuff hardens like a rock. It's similar to a 2-part epoxy, except it's 1 part. It doesn't get as hard though. It stays slightly pliable. So I wouldn't use it on like the exterior of your car. You can if you were putting rocker panels or something on, but if you're doing body work over it, there's a good chance you might get a hairline crack. But for under the car, it's fantastic. And a lot of other things it's good for. It's not just metal. You could use it on wood, aluminum, whatever. Anyway, I digress. Doing brakes. Master cylinder is in. And Walt is down there. You probably can't see him. He's under there. He is. Starting to take some stuff apart. We're going to start taking all the lines apart, get everything off, and then we're going to put the new stuff on. So we actually bought a roll of hardline, and I have another roll. We have the flaring tool, so we're going to be flaring our own lines and then putting replacement rubbers down in the corners wherever they originally were. So I'll show the flaring tool in a little bit, and then we're going to get into the brake lines, and hopefully we'll get this all on here today and braking at least on its own. So there's the old master cylinder. There's the new one right next to it. Mostly seems to be the same, other than the new one has a threaded fitting hole in the end. The old one did not, or at least it doesn't look like it. The old one also had this funky brass adapter on it, or fitting. That's pretty crazy. I'm going to put it back in. It's still good, but I've never seen one quite like that, on an angle like that. So it actually goes in like this. See if I get it like that. And goes, screws in on an angle so that it ends up finishing, I don't know what you would consider that, perpendicular to the ground. So like sort of level straight up and down. There's the new master cylinder. That actually ended up being the original master cylinder that was in the front seat of the car when we bought it. I bought a new one, but it didn't match up correctly, so this one seemed to be fine. So we're going to put it in there, and actually we're probably going to test it before we get everything hooked up just to make sure it holds pressure. But that's it. You can see there's a line going down off it that goes out to the back, and then that one line right there comes over to the passenger side, and then there's another line underneath that goes to the driver's side. We're getting ready to take all those out and replace them. So this is the flaring tool. This is an Eastwood. I don't know what the model number is on it. Anyway, oh, right there. There's the part number. But essentially you just cut your line or put your line into the end of this block. And then what does that flat piece do, Walt?
It locates it. So you put
locates it, yeah.
Yeah, leave it somewhat loose in the block, put your line in. Then the first step is when you pull this back, it evens everything up. You tighten it, and then that line is set where it needs to be in the correct position to continue the flaring process. And then we go, this is 3/16. I can't see. So 3/16, option 1. Make sure it's lined up. All right, option 1, yeah. And you give it a pull. And it puts the first bend, if you're doing like a double flare, it puts the first flare into it. And then we go to this, which is, oh, that's not it. This one, which is the second one.
3/16 option 2.
Mm-hmm.
Get that lined up.
Make sure that's lined up. And there you have your flare.
There you go. So we're going to do that to all of these.
Mm-hmm.
And this new line is very flexible. So you can see Walt literally was bending it with his hands. Previously, we would use a tubing bender, and you can do that for the sharper bends so that you don't get a kink in it. But for the most part, this is bending really, really nicely. That literally only took a couple minutes. So fingers crossed, hopefully the rest of it works out like this, and we can get it back in the car pretty quickly. Here's the left front brake assembly before we take it apart. The front ones actually were still fairly intact after we got the drums off. The back ones were not, obviously. So we're gonna start taking all this apart and getting the wheel cylinders replaced so we can get the rest of the lines replaced, and then we'll replace all this hardware. And there's the amount of grease that was all around the control arm. I got most of it. This was just off of the driver's side. I'm not sure if Walt's side or the passenger side looks like that, but yeah, that was quite a bit. Okay, like I said, we weren't showing all the details because you guys have all changed brakes before and no one really needed to see that. But we're wrapping up day 7, and as you can see, they're not completely done. I will explain why in just a second. So the fronts look pretty much like this. Everything is just loosely in place, but we did get all of the lines run, so that was good. So all the lines, front and back, all the rubber lines, hard lines, that is all done. New master cylinders in place, that is all connected. Everything here, new wheel cylinders are all in place. Some new parts, springs, etc. were used. Some of the old ones were used. Reason being, the kit that we got, or the couple of kits that we got, the springs were all slightly different sizes than what was originally on there, and the original springs were all fine, so we just cleaned them up and put it back on. So I'll show you the rears, I'll explain what we did there, and then I'll show you the culprit of why this thing isn't all back together. Okay, there's the rear. The other side looks exactly the same as this. You can see it's all hooked up, but as you can, well, you might be able to see if I point it out, there's a spring here that's not connected. That goes to this adjuster mechanism, and you can see this cable is very loose in here. Well, got it all hooked up, and we were wondering why, or I was wondering why that cable was so loose, and it's because it's the wrong length. So same thing that we've dealt with a bunch of other parts on here. Buy some stuff, and it says that it's going to fit this, and most of it fits, but not all of it. So there's the issue right there. You can see there's one of the original cables, and this is what the replacement one is. It is much longer. I was looking online trying to find this. No one actually gives a length to these, so I ordered a couple of them. Hopefully one of them fits. If it doesn't, I'm probably going to end up cutting this and shortening it and splicing it. I'd prefer not to do that, but if that's what we need to do, that's what we're going to do. So that is that. And I think I showed this earlier, but there's the new lines. Again, there's only a couple of them. You got the master cylinder all like tucked up in there. Sorry, I can't get that great of a view, but it's all connected. And that's it. That's a wrap. So we got that all done. Hopefully we get those new cables in here shortly, get the brakes wrapped up and get them bled. And then on to getting the fuel tank in, getting the new fuel pump in, because I did finally, third time's a charm, get one that looks like it's correct. So I'm going to get that in. I'll explain what the differences were on the ones that I got that weren't correct. We're going to rebuild the carb real quick. I got a carb kit for it. And then tires, and things should be ready to pull out of the garage. So hopefully that is the case. Oh, and I got a new belt that I'm putting on down here. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for day 8. Again, hopefully we'll have the fuel lines, fuel system all back in place, and getting this thing pretty close to getting back down on the ground. Thanks.